Hi everyone, welcome to a video for the 2016 Crabbie's Grand National. This is a separate video just for the Grand National race, as people have requested. I'm not sure why, I have a terrible record in the race, but I've done the videos for the other day or for the rest of the day, and this is just for the Grand National. I'll be going through all of the runners and riders, and in the end coming up with a 1, 2, 3, 4, and you never know, we'll see where we get to with it. The first horse is Many Clouds. Ollie Sherwood, Leighton Aspel, obviously won the race last year and has been in very good form this year. Became the first horse to win a chase race after winning the Grand National in a long time. Still only age 9. He should go very, very well again here. Horse number 2 is Silviniaco Conti, Paul Nicholls and Noel Feely. Bounced back with a win at Ascot last time after Paul Nicholls admitted he's been struggling with injury and ulcers and all sorts of knee problems all season, though his earlier seconds behind the likes of Q Card have been well and truly frank since. Gets in off 163, should stay, usually jumps well, and so if he takes to the fences, he's a very, very big player. First Lieutenant, Mouse Morris and Brian Cooper. Has had a spin around these fences before and did okay without looking like he lasted home fully. He's 11 now and off 11 stone 4. It's hard to see him thinking he's going to find that much more than what he has in the past. Number 4 is Wonderful Charm, Paul Nicholls, Sam Twiston Davis. He's had just the one run this season when he came second, and Paul Nicholls has been keeping him specifically for the Grand National. Though I do suspect his stamina is not guaranteed used in his breeding, but he could give you a good spin round. Ballynagore, David Pipe, Tom Scudamore has been out of form this season, and I'm not convinced this horse is an out-and-out outsider despite winning over 3 miles. Yeah, he might bounce back to form if he takes to the fences again, but generally you can look elsewhere, I believe. Number 6, O'Phelan's Boy, Rebecca Curtis and Brian Hughes is a former RSA Chase winner, but has been hounded by injuries. He's won one this year, but generally he's out of form, and it will be a big leap of faith to think this one is going to bounce back. Gil Gamboa for Ender Bolger and Robbie Power is a very, very consistent horse, though he hasn't won all season. He came a very respectable 5th to Vator in the Ryanair, but I think he will need more extreme trips, especially being by Westerner. He's 100 to 1 in places, and I think that is overpriced personally. I think he'll give a lot better running than 100 to 1 shot. On his own, he's been placed in the Gold Cup before, but has been way out of form most of this season. It's Willie Mullins and Patrick Mullins rides this one. At 12 years old, I don't think he's got the improvement to take a hand here. The Druid's Nephew was absolutely, Neil Mulholland, Dennis O'Regan was absolutely cruising in this till 5 out last year when he fell. I think he had just taken it up. The jockey was absolutely heartbroken that time. He's only £5 higher here. He bounced back to form 5 weeks ago with an excellent second, and I think he's definitely going the right way. Number 10 is Triolo Deline, Nicky Henderson and Jeremiah Regras. This horse on his day can really, really put in a good round of jumping. He's a bit in and out. For every good run you get, you might end up with a bad one, and he was very, very bad last time out behind Silviniaco Conti. If he puts his best foot forward, though, he could be a very interesting pick. Rocky Creek has been placed in the Grand National before, but has been well out of form this season. Paul Nicholls and Andrew Thornton. He's 10. I don't think there's any more improvement left in him, and I think he's going to struggle again. Sir Deschamps was a former runner-up in the Gold Cup, and after 2 years out, came back with an amazing win. But he's been well and truly found out in his 2 runs since. This is Willie Mullins and Ruby Walsh is on this, and it's going to attract a lot of money. But even with Ruby on it, he's going to have to find something out the top drawer, and bringing back after 2 years out this season, then win a national will be the training performance of a lifetime. Number 13 is Holywell, John Joe O'Neill and Richie McLernan. This horse goes very, very well around Aintree. And seems to have stamina in abundance. He came second right back to form at the festival. He's on a great mark of 153, giving him 10 stone 12. Holywell will give a good run for his money, I think, here. Shut the Front Doors interesting, John Joe O'Neill and Barry Geraghty. Pulled up last time, but has generally been in decent condition, decent form. The worry is he's by Accordion, who is more known for the 2 milers, the likes of Flagship Uberalis, etc. So the 4 mile 2 trip could Shut the Front Door a little bit too much. Sol is an admirable horse and always performs with distinction, usually in lesser races. The one thing about this horse is I'm 99% certain he will stay. Whether he's should be rated 152, I'm not convinced. Conor O'Farrell rides for David Pipe, but once again, he should give you a good spin round. Bywise keeps his best form, certainly for Cheltenham, and has been running pretty consistent all year. They've actually bypassed Cheltenham though this year, and he's been off the track for 10 weeks to go for this. I suspect he won't stay the trip though. Evan Williams is the trainer, Paul Maloney's the jockey. He's generally a good jumper, so he could give a bit of fun, but it would be a big shock for me to say Bywise is going to win this. Number 17, Boston Bob, Willie Mullins, Paul Townend. This horse is a very, very good horse on its day, and he bounced back with a good run at the latest. I think 151's a fair mark. 11 years old, yeah, I don't think he might not improve. The improvement's going to be a tough one. Ruby Walsh is clearly preferred Sir Deschamps, but he could run a very, very solid race. Archon, Venetia Williams and Henry Brook. He was in form in a lot lesser races earlier this season. Absolutely nothing in the last two. I don't think he's fully going to stay the trip. I don't think he's a class to be this, and there's very little to recommend about him. Morning Assembly is what he is. P.A. Fahey, Davy Russell. He's consistent, but I don't think he's necessarily going to see this trip out. Double Ross has run with distinction in some of the lesser trips than the Grand National, the likes of, I think he's been in the Grand Sefton before, and the Topham, etc. This is Nigel Twiston-Davis and Ryan Hatch, but he hasn't been in form this season, and he'll have to go and find something else to go and win this. Number 21 is Gooniella. Jim Draper and Jonathan Burke rides. He's a former Midlands Grand National winner. He's been in half-decent form this season, though I do suspect he needs the ground like a bog, and I don't think we're going to get heavy ground at Aintree tomorrow. He's also fallen in the past in the Beachy Chase, which is a bit of a worry, though he did run, and also he came ninth, I think it was in the Beachy Chase earlier this season, so he hasn't always shown an aptitude for the fences. Ucello Conti is very interesting horse, number 22, Gordon Elliott and Daryl Jacob. He looks like he always wanted an extreme trip. He's been in very solid form. They've roughed him off for the last 11 and a half weeks. He's got in off a mark of 149, and I think Ucello Conti could run a very big race. Union East, Paul Nichols and Nick Schofield ran at, I think it was in the Beachy Chase at Aintree in December and absolutely hated it. So took absolutely no interest really. He's been in decent form back over regulation fences since then, but his record over these fences is a huge concern. Le Rev, Lucy Wadham, Harry Skelton has been in relatively good form. I don't think he's going to stay the trip, and again, I'm not 100% convinced he's got the class for this. 25, Gallant Oscar, AJ Martin and Mark Walsh. Gallant Oscar ran a very, very good race. I think he's an actual Irish national winner or one of those big staying chase winners in Ireland, and ran a very good race at the festival last season. He started the season well. His form's tailed off, but he's on a very good mark if he can regain what he's basically what he's done in the past. One Night in Vienna, Philip Hobbs and Tom O'Brien started the season well, but was outclassed last time. I think he's by Oscar, so he should stay. However, I think he's not the class that's needed to go and win this. The Last Samurai, Kim Bailey and David Bass. Very interested in this one because he actually beat the Druid's nephew last time out. Okay, he was in receipt of £6. This was in the Grimthorpe Chase. The Grimthorpe Topland been quite an interesting, basically lead-up race to this. He's clearly a stayer. Everything he's done suggests that the further the trip goes, the better. He's won over 3 mile 2. I think he's on an excellent mark of 149, and I think the Last Samurai could go very, very close. Also in the same colours is Cruise Linen, and he is for Philip Hobbs, and Richard Johnson has picked this one. He came 5th at Cheltenham last time out in the Ultima Handicap Chase, but behind Intempsport 2. The form's taken some hits since then, but he should give you a good spin round for your money. Rule the World was a former very high-class hurdler and has been running with credit over fences, to be honest with you, where he's looked all about the stamina. However, he's always found one too many, and I'm not convinced that this ground is what he's actually looking for today. Just a par is Paul Nichols, and young Sean Bowen's got the ride on this. He did very well when he last run back in March, and he stayed on very well over 3 miles at Exeter. The worry is at Christmas, he weakened when he tried the extreme trip, and also in November. So I suspect he's not fully going to get home over the 4 miles here. Katenko was formerly high class. This is Venetia Williams and Will Kennedy, but he's shown absolutely nothing this season whatsoever. And I'm not convinced. It always annoys me when horses that were good 3 years ago are allowed in the Grand National. It'd be a hell of a training performance to get in. but I don't think he's going to be winning. Vic's Canvas, exactly the same. He's 13 years old. He's got no form whatsoever this year. This is for Dermot McLaughlin and Robert Dunn. I'm not convinced he should be in the race. It's as simple as that. He won't be winning, I'm 99% sure. Number 33, Black Thunder. Sam Wadey-Cohen now rides this for Paul Nicholls because his dad, Robert Wadey-Cohen, bought him this week. He was running a decent race in the Welsh Grand National, actually, Black Thunder. A very decent race before he unseated. And I think he might have gone pretty close there. He does look like a half-decent stayer, but his last run was really, really bad at Sandown, so you would have to hope, he improves for the take into the Grand National fences. But, that's what it's going to need. Horse 34 is Ballykatie Willie Mullins with Katie Walsh, sister of Ruby Walsh, riding this one. He was actually brought down in the Grand National last year, quite early on, where no one knows what would have happened. He then went on and ran a really good race behind Gallant Oscar at Punchestown. However, this year hasn't shown a great deal, but was more like his old form when came 5th to Empire of Dirt in the Brown Plate at the festival. He's 50 to 1 this year, and I think that's possibly overpriced. I think he could run a lot better than that. Hadrian's Approach is Nico de Boinville and Nicky Henderson. He's only had the one run this year when he came 7th behind Theatre Guide. He has won over Extreme Trips, beating the likes of Burton Paul, but he doesn't stand for much racing. And again, it will be a hell of a training performance if he gets Hadrian's Approach ready for this, Nicky Henderson. Horse number 36 is Violi en Rouge, David Piper with James Reevely riding. James Reevely actually been riding in France today. Came 20 lengths behind Manila Rocco at Cheltenham, but seemed to weaken drastically, and that would have to be a worry here because this is a lot further. It could be a long way home. Pendra is next in, and he is number 37, Charlie Lonsdon, and Aidan Coleman, who is a fantastic jockey. I can't go on about Aidan Coleman enough. He's been in decent form. He's only had 2 runs this year. He won first time out, beating Double Ross quite comfortably, and then went back for a listed chase at Ascot last time. The one time he tried the Extreme Trip, which was in the Irish National a couple of years ago, he didn't get home, and it's impossible to say he's going to get home again. Saint R is got in towards the bottom. Horse number 38, Tom George and Paddy Brennan, obviously only went down by a length and a quarter last year of 10 stone 6 to Many Clouds. And he'd in the past had shown a liking when coming 3rd in the Beecher Chase for these fences. So Saint R is got to be a player. As I said, he's actually an off £1 less than last year. He's getting no better at the age of... Well, actually, he might still have a bit of improvement at the age of 10. I'm probably being a bit harsh there. But he's not the same price as he was last year, and he could give a very good run again, Saint R. Home Farm, horse number 39, is Henry de Bromhead and Andrew Lynch. He's got absolutely no form. He won about 2 years ago, and the time before that, 2 years ago. It's a massive leap of faith. It's impossible to give him any realistic chance in this. While the Romford Pele was last seen running a cracking race, it's got to be said, at Cheltenham. He's trained by Rebecca Curtis again with Trevor Whelan. There was another underrated jockey, I think, as well there. He does seem quite a decent staying horse. He was staying on at Cheltenham back in November behind Sausalito Sunrise and was nearest at the finish. If he takes to these fences, the Romford Pele could be a really, really interesting bet at 50 to 1. So they're the 40 runners, but we have to go for a 1, 2, 3, 4. And this year, I am going for Silviniaco Conti to beat the Druid's Nephew, to beat Many Clouds, and I'm going to put in Saint R again to finish the 1, 2, 3, 4. Many thanks for watching. Check out my channel here for another video for the last day of Aintree. Post as well, whatever you guys fancy. And yeah, best of luck. May the best horse win. Bye-bye.